Alright, shalom to the hopeful elect. Before we get started, you're going to face the east. Give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawadah, Bahashim, Yahawadah, Bahashim, Hakadash. Double honors and elders to Apostles of Great Millstone for bringing us this truth. And shalom to the true believers of Yahawadah, Bahashim, Yahawadah, returning to them during these last days. And those believers that's enduring to the end. Now, we're going to get started with some of our daily news. We're going to see what's going on in the headlines of Russia and America. And the reason we do this, every time I do a live, we looking for the Lord's return. We checking out prophecy. Let's see what's going down. This was 4 hours ago. Ukraine crisis deepens. The U.S. willing to strike Russia. And again, that was 4 hours ago. And what did we say yesterday? Russia said they wouldn't make a first strike, but they'd make a devastating second strike. I mean, if we started, Russia gonna finish it. This one was yesterday. Ready to invade Ukraine. Ready to invade Ukraine. U.S. says Russia clearly now has capability to attack. I say Russia then had the capability to attack because they're right next door to Russia. Russia getting ready for something bigger. Pretty much so much going on YouTube. Let me check one of my subscriptions. All right, Russia to plunge the UK into the dark if war breaks out. Russia to cut the undersea cables. So a lot of these countries that have deep undersea cables, which pretty much supplies the city or the country with electricity, gas, oil, and this, and that. You know how all that stuff works. Because a lot of our electricity we get from natural gas. And there's undersea cables and wires that supply that stuff to the country. So it's looking like Russia planning on cutting those cables to the UK. And which here in America, we're supposed to experience a blackout. That might be an EMP attack, which will knock out the electric grid, or Russia might cut our cable. But anyways, we're going to have some days of darkness coming as they did in Egypt. And Russia, they're going about this really in a strategic way. So that's not going to be good. But anyways, I got a handful of scriptures right here we're going to go over. We're gonna get the scriptures that pertains to us being in captivity, because it's all through it's all Bible prophecy and all through the Bible that the Lord's people will go into captivity time and time again, and at the return of our Lord, the Lord's people will be in captivity again. And for some reason, our people don't see we in captivity. And I talked to somebody one time. He said everybody went into slavery. Well, everybody ain't the Lord's people, so we don't care about them. And I also told him they didn't get tortured like we did for 400 years. We got hung on trees, boiled in tubs of boiling hot sugar. We got tarred and feathered. They put hot tar on our skin while we was hanging and put feathers on us. They didn't cut the babies out of the mother's wombs. They didn't alligator bait, use black babies to hunt alligators so they could make alligator belts and alligator shoes. Um, they didn't have their culture stripped and beat from them. They wasn't forced to learn another language. They was able to buy themselves, meaning buy their slavery. They didn't have their babies snatched away from them at birth. Um, those other nations of people that supposedly went into captivity, um, they didn't live out pretty much with the animals, giving guts and intestines to eat. So, yeah, other people might have went into captivity, but they didn't go into a hardcore slavery like we did. And the Lord said that He looked at our oppression, and there was nothing under the sun that wasn't done to us. Then He said we was given to the worst of the heathen. So for that reason, we also experienced the worst slavery out of all people on the planet. And then they didn't have their identity stolen like we had our identity stolen. We the Israelites, the real Jews, and they stole our identity. And then they stole our Bible. And then changed the names to everybody in the Bible so we can't come back to the understanding of it. And then they took the image of Yahawadah, the Messiah, and made him a white man. So we literally had everything stolen from us. So somebody saying that everybody else went, all people went into slavery or captivity before, if you feel that way, the Lord gonna kill you. Because the Lord himself spoke how bad of a captivity we were going to. The Lord won't waste his words talking about something that we went through if everybody else went through the same thing. In our slavery, it was a punishment. Everybody else, they were just doing what humans do. But went, we actually got punished, and then they forwarded our affliction, meaning they added to our suffering. The Lord intended for us to serve another people for all things, but it wasn't intended that we would get tortured the way we did. Beat, buck breaking. They take the biggest and strongest male, Negro male, and they'll rape him in front of the little boys, in front of his family, raping the girls, raping the women. So nobody went through what we went through. But for that, we're gonna start in it's actually something. We're gonna start at Genesis 15. All right, Genesis 15, I think 13. This is what I want to start with. Because it was prophesied that we would go into captivity. And right here in Genesis 15, our first captivity and our last captivity was prophesied. But we're going to read this real quick. So this is the Most High talking to Abraham. And he said to Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they should afflict them 400 years. So the Lord told Abraham, you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that your seed, the children of Jacob, the children of Israel, will be a stranger in the land, meaning they will be taken to a land that they didn't originate from, which would be America. And the people who would take us to this land, we would serve them for 400 years. And in Africa, and in America, that's why they had the HR 1242. That was commemorating the 400 years of African American history in America, and that was pretty much the Lord had them pass that to let us know that time was served, that time was about up, and that was 2019, and a lot of people kind of agree that we started coming over here in masses during 1619, which 2019 will make it 400 years. Now, some of us been here before that, and some of us got here earlier, but that ain't the point. The point is, HR 1242 was established in 2019, so we work on the Lord's schedule, not man's schedule. So the Lord made 2019 the 400-year mark through the Spirit that was pushed out in the form of 1242, But as the Lord letting us know that time was almost up. I'm gonna read this again to continue. And he said to Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. And that's the point of our slavery. They said that we would serve them, and they would afflict us, meaning cause us to suffer for 400 years. Their brother that said all these other people been in the captivity before, well, all they had to do was serve the people. They wasn't afflicted. You can have people serve you without torturing them. We served them and got afflicted. Not our people. They worked to death in the cotton fields, died out there right in the fields, in the beaming hot sun with whip wounds on their back, not eating no food, malnutrients. And also that nation, it's not talking about America. When it says nation, nation is synonymous to race. So that nation or that race of people whom they shall serve, who do we serve? The Edomites. So the Edomites who we served, it says, will I judge? So the Lord is going to judge them for bringing us here and afflicting us and stealing this land. And afterward, they should come out with great substance. So we're going to come out with great substance when the Lord judges this nation and brings us out of here. So again, the Lord told Abram that we'll be here about 400 years. That's not 400 years exactly, and we're going to show this. But one thing to keep in mind, we said that this was prophesying to us in Egypt and us in America. Our captivity here in America mirrors our captivity in Egypt. Because in Egypt, we was heavily oppressed, forced to work a lot of manual labor, which we are here now. We built America, the roads, the railroads, pretty much the foundation of America we built. And then in Egypt, they built the foundation of Egypt. They built all the pyramids. And then they had Planned Parenthood back in the ancient world, which I'm not going to get that out, but we also have Planned Parenthood today, where they try to wipe out the bloodline of Israel, starting with the Negroes. And what else? And our first captivity and our last captivity was the longest captivity. They was both 400 years. That was not 400 years exactly, but 400 and some odd years. So here we've been here a little over 400. And in Egypt, they was there a little over 400 years. And actually a couple things. I done rushed and got started. But we're going to show you how long they was in Egypt. Exodus 12:40. For I will pass Exodus 12 verse 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Now in America, we're going to be here about the same time, 400 and some different years. But we got to remember that the calendar we use today is not the same calendar that we use in the ancient world. These Edomites, the white men, the one that switched up everything. So now I'm going to jump to Exodus chapter 13 and 14. And this is it right here. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, what is this? That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of the hand of the Lord brought us out of Egypt, from the house of bondage. So in Deuteronomy 28:68, the Lord said he would take us into Egypt again with ships. We just read that it said that the Lord brought us from Egypt, from the house of bondage. So Egypt, by definition, means house of bondage. So the Lord said he would take us into Egypt again with ships. That was meaning that he would take us into the house of bondage again with ships. And house of bondage is pretty much another term for slavery or captivity. So the Lord took us into the house of bondage or captivity again with ships. And that would be the slave ships. We're the only people as a whole who went into captivity on slave ships, the Negroes. But even before us, the Native Americans and Hispanics, they went into captivity on slave ships first because they was taken out of the land of Israel before we was. And they was taken out of Israel by the Assyrians. And those slave ships that they took the Native Americans and Hispanics on, pretty much Native Americans and Hispanics, they changed course and went farther than they were supposed to. And that's how they ended up here in America. Now we're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. Again, because captivity is a big part of the Bible. And I don't know why captivity is not mentioned in the churches by these preachers. Captivity is all throughout the Bible. If people say that we're not in captivity no more, well, why do we have to answer to the white man's law enforcement system? Why do we have to go to their courts, pay taxes to them? Why don't we have our own money? Why is we oppressed? Why can't we have our own laws? Because when you're not in captivity, that means you can have your own laws. And that means that you can pretty much do as you please. And you can govern your own people. And we send in captivity, a driver's license and an ID, that's just a hall pass. Like when you're in school, you gotta have a hall pass. All that is a hall pass to move around in America. Because if you ain't got your driver's ID or license, you can't do nothing. So you're not free as you think. And if you want to leave the country, you gotta get permission from America. You ain't free as you think. Now it makes sense to have a passport for the sake of the other country that you're trying to go to, so they can see that you're a resident, that you're not a criminal on the run, that you got some proof that your stuff is legit. But you gotta have a passport to come back into America. You know what I'm saying? And they said, what else? We're not free as we think. If you think we free, put some big buckets in front of your house and collect rainwater. See if you don't get a fine, and see if you don't get a notice that says you're breaking the law for collecting the rainwater. We're not free in this land. So what else? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. And that's what happened to us. Our sons and daughters was literally given to another people. When we got off the slave ships, they was taken from us and given to the next Edomite slave owner. When we had babies in slavery, as soon as they could walk and pick up sticks, they was taken from us. Let me continue. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. So saying that when our sons and daughters be took, all we could do is look in utter failure, because we don't have the power, we don't have the might in our hand to save our own children. Knowing that there's nothing we could do. And this still applies today. Yeah, we don't have a forced manual labor slavery no more, but we still in captivity, because in the prison system, they can make you work for free if you in prison, if you have a lengthy prison sentence. So what do? To keep us in slavery? They lock up all the Mexicans and all the Negroes. They and they make us work for free in prison. So that's a loophole in the system that they found. So again, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people, and thy eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. And this still applies today. For example, they're not taking us and giving us to slave masters, but they come and take your children in the form of a CPS. Don't be nothing wrong with your children. They see you yell at them or see you spank them in public. They want to call CPS to come take your children. And what else? If your child hurt themselves, because you know we always hurt ourselves as children, they want to come take your children. Or if your child getting in trouble at school because he going off, either because he getting picked on by other students for being black, or the teacher mistreating him because he black, he go off on everybody. They want to call CPS. They want to send him to juvenile detention center. They want to send him to juvenile. They want to say he need help. That's still taking our children. They're giving them to the next white man. And then as soon as they hit 17 or 17, they're not even going to juvenile no more. They sending them straight to prison. That's another white man. Then once you can go to prison, you can actually be in a form of slavery there. So they still taking our children from us, just in different forms this time. And the foster care system, um, adoption, all that stuff. You're not a fit parent because the parent don't got all the resources that's required by America. They say you unfit to raise a child, or because the parents smoke, they say you unfit to raise a child. Well, a lot of our people smoke because they're heavily oppressed. And smoking is from the earth. So it's not as big as a deal as they make it as they make it out to be. And that smoking is such a big deal. Why you got all these weed shops here in America now? But yet parents can't smoke and have their children. Man, you know we shouldn't be smoking. We should be doing edibles, and not to get effed up, but to chill for medical reasons. Well, let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Yup, that happened in the times of slavery. When we birthed our children, they was taken from us and went into slavery. And that's still happening now. What happened if you give birth and you got weed in your system? Or you got a record, you know, with various stuff on it. They want to take your children from the hospital, give them up for adoption, put them in foster care, or something happened when the child a little older, CPS involved, now they taking your children. You can't enjoy your children. Even to this very day, they still being taken from us one way or another. And they're going to captivity. Now back then, there was forced slavery, but now they sit in the white man's system. In slavery, you in the system because you a product on the market that's just being passed around from slave owner to slave owner. Just like in the foster care system. You go for adoption, you're in foster care. Now you're in juvenile to another foster home. Now in a prison. Now you get out, you're in a halfway home. It's just a system. So now we're going to jump to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. So the Lord says people will serve thy enemies. Who is our enemies? It's the people we served in this land. And it's not hard to tell that they are our enemies. The Asians, the Africans, the Arabs, they didn't hang us as much as the white man did. They didn't put us in yokes of iron. They didn't burn us in a tub of boiling hot sugar. They didn't burn us alive. They didn't cut off our limbs and throw our fingers to the crowd. So, I mean, they are enemies too. They enemies against the nation of Israel. But our main enemy, our arch enemy, is the Edomites. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. The Lord sent them against us as a punishment. And we shall serve our enemies in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. Because in hunger, rather we need food, we serving the white man. You got black restaurant owners where those restaurant owners buy their food from. They buy it from these white-owned food distribution companies. Who's most of the farmers these days? The Edomites. So they get their food from the farmers too. And in thirst, who owned Aquafina? Who owned Dasini? Who owned the water treatment plants? What happens if you don't pay your water bill? They cut your water off, so we're not free. Because we're not supposed to pay for water. If we had our own land, we would have a natural water supply system, and we won't be paying for it. So paying for water, that was unheard of in the ancient day, unless you was buying water from somebody else's land. But here in our own land, we shouldn't be paying for water. And it says then the nakedness. If you need clothing, who do you got to go to? You got to go to the white man. They got black clothing stores. Well, the black clothing stores, they just sell the clothes and design them. They don't produce the cotton and the linen and the wool. They don't pick that stuff off the farm. They don't they they don't produce the materials themselves. They just design it. So the money's still going back to Esau. And in one of all things, if you need a doctor, more times than not, you gotta serve the white man. You got a black doctor, well, guess who hired your black doctor? It was a white man. You need car insurance, most likely the white man. You need your car fixed, most likely going back to the white man. You might have a black shop owner, but he gotta buy his parts and his tools from the white man. It all go back to him. You in trouble, you gotta pay some court fees, lawyer fees, the white man. You need gas, going back to the white man. Ain't no way around it. But that's what the Lord said. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Man, I don't know if the computer locked on me. This is the yoke of iron. These metal collars on our necks, that's a yoke of iron. Something that you put on a wild bull. And this is us in the slave ships. That's a method of packing humans called tight packing. They don't even fill up our bags of potato chips this much. The bag be halfway empty. They can pack the bags of potato chips halfway empty, but they can't pack us halfway empty at least. Damn devils. And you should put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And when you start taming a wild horse, you gotta put something around his neck and mouth to conquer it mentally. So them putting them yokes of iron upon our neck, it was to tame us. It wasn't so much a physical thing, it was more mental. And then when something is destroyed, it's no longer what it was. So when it says until he had destroyed thee, it's meant until he's tamed us, until he conquered our minds, until he conquered us mentally, until we're destroyed. Meaning that we're mentally destroyed. We don't even know who we are no more. We was once kings and priests, but we don't even see ourselves as being kings and priests no more. We see ourselves as being a color, a Negro, an African American, an American, because we destroyed. We don't know that we was once a holy people, a royal people, of kings and priests. The Lord's chosen. We don't even know we the Lord's chosen no more. We think we just put on the bottom just because that's just how we ended up here. We weren't always here. But why did the Lord make us serve our enemies in one of all things? We're going to go back up a verse. And that's because the Lord said, we just read 48. I'm going to read 48 again, then we're going to jump to 47. We're going to go up to show why. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. You shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. But why did the Lord do that? Verse 47, go up. because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness, because we didn't serve the Lord with joyfulness and with gladness of heart. We didn't serve him with joyfulness and gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Because we didn't serve the Lord joyfully with all the things he blessed us with and the abundance of all things, we now have to serve our enemies, which would be the Edomites, for all things. And as the Lord blessed us, we did wickedly. And the more he blessed us, the more wickedly we did. So for that reason, he set us up. He set our enemies over us so that we would have to serve him for everything. Now we got something for clothing, food, water, and everything else. Whereas before, we would serve the Lord. He would bless us with food, water, and everything else. But now, everything that the Most High used to bless us with, we got to get it from Esau. Because we did not serve the Lord with joyfulness and gladness of heart. It got to the point where serving the Lord became a burden to like a lot of our people, and that would be the people who are disbelievers today. And it's because it shouldn't be a burden to serve the Lord. Um, the law. Let me see. I'm gonna say is the law is not hard to keep. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep in nowadays, being living here in America, because in America, society is set up to make it hard to keep the law. But oh my gosh, this see the mic. I wish y'all could see this. Anyways, back in the ancient day, uh, it wasn't even too hard for them unless you was just a non-believer. Now, a thing that we always struggle with as a people would be adultery, uh, you know, among the men and women, because that's temptation. That's probably one of the hardest laws to keep. I mean, it's not hard for a lot of people to keep adultery, but falling into lust, that's one of the hardest things to refrain from, the lust of the flesh. But that's why and I'm going to read 47 and continue all the way through 48 so we can get the full picture of it. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, and hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So physically, that yoke of iron represented captivity. Not only was he serving our enemies, um, he forced us to serve them. I mean, our enemies forced us to serve them. They put the yokes of iron on us as a sign of ownership, like we was property. These other people who went into slavery on earth didn't have yokes of iron put on their neck. They didn't have their nationality, their heritage beaten out of them, stolen from them, and then lost in history to never be remembered. So now we're going to jump to, all right, there we go. Deuteronomy 28:68. Now this is the last curse. This put this put the frosting and the cherry and the pot of sugar on top of all of this. Now it's like it's many curses. It's over 50, but this is the last curse. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. We just read in Exodus 13 and 14 that Egypt means house of bondage. Because Egypt, by definition, is house of bondage or slavery. So the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So really, the Lord will bring us into slavery again with ships. Egypt is not just a specific land. It's a land that you go into slavery. Now if you continue, and the Lord shall bring thee to Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. So actual ancient Egypt with the pyramids that the Lord said we want to see that Egypt no more. So for him telling us we want to see that Egypt no more, but he'll take us into Egypt again, that must mean that there's going to be a new Egypt, or a new house of bondage, or a new place of slavery. And it says, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bond men and bond women, and no man shall buy you. Let me show you something. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to show y'all. It's too bright out here. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. So America is the new Egypt. It's the new house of bondage. It's the new place of slavery. Because remember, the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships. By the way, whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more. Meaning we won't see the pyramids no more, but we'll come to a new place of slavery. And this new place of slavery is America. And the proof that America is the new Egypt is the pyramid is on the back of the dollar. And the elites put this there as a slap in the face to us. But the Lord did that as a setup. It's a slap in the face to us in the past, but now that we come into the knowledge of the scriptures, this confirms that we are the Lord's people and that these curses fit us. It confirms that America is Egypt. And again, the Lord shall take thee into slavery or house of bondage again with ships. We the only person who went into slavery or went into captivity or went into bondage on ships. It didn't happen to nobody else. Hold on, y'all. Yep, nobody else went into captivity on ships. Just the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And again, for the people who say only the Negroes are the Israelites, you gotta have understanding. Somewhere, maybe Second Kings, Second Chronicles, the northern kingdom was taken out of Israel by the Assyrians. And again, the northern kingdom would be the Hispanics and Native Americans. They was taken out of Israel by the Assyrians on slave ships. So they went on slave ships even before we did. And them slave ships is how they got here to America. They got here to America on slave ships first. And then, probably some thousands of years later, we got here on slave ships. And this is the Northern Kingdom. Hold on. See right here how it says Northern Kingdom? The Mexicans, Cubans, Brazilians, Seminole Indians, Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, Panamanians, Dominicans. That's the Northern Kingdom. And again, how they got here, the Assyrians took them into captivity on a slave ship. They left Israel. And they were supposed to go to a land, but the Native Americans and Hispanics, they took it upon themselves. They said, we're not going to go to that land. They went off course, and they went to a farther away land. And they said, in that land that's farther away, we keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of our God that we never kept in our own land. So that got here to America. And they're supposed to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, but they went off just like we did. Now it's really the Lord giving them a second chance. They got a second chance, but we didn't get one. But under the Babylonians and our various captivities, we was able to keep the law, and rebuild Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. So Lord still had mercy on us in our captivity. But again, they went on slave ships before we did. So Deuteronomy 28:68, the Lord shall take thee into Egypt again with ships. That applies to them. It applies to them first. And then even again, with the transatlantic slave trade, they took Hispanics and Native Americans and they shipped them to Europe. That's why you got so many Hispanics and Native Americans over there in Europe. We were shipped to the four corners of the earth. We were shipped all over. It's not a place that we wasn't shipped to. So now we're gonna and what does the last thing the Lord tell us? And there, in the new land of our captivity, we would be sold to our enemies. Who did the Africans sell us to on the west coast of Africa? They sold us to the white man. They sold us to our enemies. Negroes and Africans is not the same kind of black people. Two different kinds of people. When we got off the slave ships, who did the white man sell us to? They sold us to other white men. They sold us to other Edomite slave owners. So one way or another, either by the hands of the Africans or by the hands of the Edomites, we were sold to the white man. That was the final result of that transaction. So now we're gonna go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 3. Salakia. Now, we ain't dealing with that right now. We're gonna keep going. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, all what things? When the blessings come upon us, and then the curses. We was blessed first because we was keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Then we stopped keeping them, so the curses fell upon us. So again, it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord Yahweh hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thy heart, with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord Yahweh hath scattered thee. So I'm gonna kind of summarize each verse. So pretty much the Lord has said, when all the blessings come upon us and all the curses come upon us, when we call them to mind, meaning when we think about these curses and identify ourselves as being the Israelites among all the places where the Lord driven us, and He drove us to these places by slave ships, which will mainly be America. So in America, when we call the curses to mind, when we think about how these curses fit us, and we return to the Lord in truth and sincerity, returning to the Lord according to the Bible, then the Lord will lift our captivity. He will bring us out of our captivity, and He'll gather us from all the lands that He scattered us. And our captivity is not lifted physically yet, but our captivity is lifted mentally, and it's I say it's lifted mentally because we no longer being called by our slave name, African American and Negro. We know who we are now. We know that we are royal, holy nation of people. We know we're the Lord's chosen. We know we just not in this low condition just because. We know that it's for a reason. And we know that it's not going to last forever because it all starts with the mind. We have to be free mentally before we can be free physically. Because the Lord not going to free us if we don't know who we are. He's not gonna free just a bunch of niggas because upon returning, because upon because when we start back identifying as Israelites, identifying ourselves as Israelites and Hebrews, we're gonna wanna serve the Lord how we're supposed to. That's keeping the holy days, the dietary laws, really all the laws, but even praying to the correct names, which would be Yahweh, the Almighty Father, in the name of His Son, which is Yahweh Shai. And no, that we can throw that image of white Jesus and all the crosses out the window. So again, it should come to pass when we call the curses to mind, when we call the curses to mind among all the countries that the Lord scattered us, and we return to the Lord, that the Lord will have compassion on us and will turn our captivity. And us coming back into the remembrance of who we are and the knowledge of the scriptures, that's the Lord having compassion on us. Because gaining this knowledge is going to lift our captivity. Now, we had a period of the Great Awakening between like maybe 2014, 2016, up to 2019, even now. That's why 2019, they pushed the H.R. 1242, commemorating the 400 years of African American slavery. And the Lord had to do that to let them know that our captivity would soon be lifted. We about served our time. And it happened as we came to remembrance of who we are, as we started calling the curses to mind in America, in Europe, and all the other countries where the Lord scattered us by these slave ships. And then once we start remembering the curses, we're like, how do we get out of this? And it's serving the God of the Bible, not serving white Jesus. Because we're serving the God of the Bible, we're going to keep the laws of the Bible. And it's one of the 10 commandments. And at that point, the Lord had to push H.R. 1242 to let us know that the end of our captivity was near. And when we continue to read, well, that's it for that one. So next, only thing that got to happen is the Lord going to physically save us. He's going to physically take us out of this place and destroy this place, America, along with all the Edomites, the white man. So we go to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 45. Then hear thou in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. This is King David talking, telling the Lord when we pray, hear us and pretty much and maintain us, hear us out. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, angry with us, and deliver them to the enemy. We will deliver to our enemy, so that they carry them away captives into the land of the enemy, far or near. Because the Lord delivered us to the enemy, the white man, the Edomites, and the Edomites carried us away captive into the land of the enemy, far or near. America is the land of the enemy, because this is the land where our enemies carried us. And this is far land. This is far from the west coast of Africa. So, a promise, one of the promises of salvation, that we will be taken out of the land of our captivity. We are still in our captivity because we in this land. Why are we still here? For example, if I kidnap somebody, if I kidnap a young lady and I hold her, as a sex trafficking slave for some years, then she get older, I let her go. But she's still staying in the house. She's in the land where she's in the house where she was kidnapped at. She's still in the house of her sex trafficking. So she's still captive. And that's Stockholm syndrome. When you start to develop compassion for the ones who took you captive and decide to stay with them. That's what we doing. Yep, we still in the land of our captivity. And let me read this and continue. Then hear down in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause, if they sin against thee. For there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives into the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet, if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they were carried captives, and we will be thinking ourselves, thinking about the curses. Like, man, these curses fit us. Like, man, we must be the people that is the people of the Bible. Like, oh, we the true Israelites, the true Jews. Yet they should bethink themselves to the land whither they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee, and the land of them that carried them captive, and we're praying and bethinking ourselves and making supplication in the land of them, in the land of the white man that carried us captives, saying, we have sinned and we have done perversely, we have committed wickedness. And so we turn unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, pray toward the east, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which thou built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause. So it's pretty much David saying that if we sin and our enemies carry us away captive into the land of our captivity, and we bethink ourselves and repent in the land that we was carried captive, we send the Lord to hear us and to maintain our cause. And you know, to maintain our cause, to comfort us in the midst of our captivity. Now we're going to read 2 Kings 21 to 14. Second Kings 21:14. And I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance. Who's the Lord's inheritance? That's the children of Israel, the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance and deliver them into the land of their enemies. And we was delivered into the land of our enemies. That's how we got here. And they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies. And we became a prey. They prey on us. They prey on us in the streets. The police. They shoot us down just like they shooting down animals in the woods. The rednecks. They hunt us like they hunting deer. They prey on us. Even in the court system, through their laws. They push out laws and legislation that further oppress us. In the court system, they give us longer prison time. We get punished more severely. They prey on us. And that we should become a spoil to our enemies. And spoil us, they rob us through the form of taxes, child support, court and lawyer fees. We spoil you. They're oppressing us, robbing us, they're stripping us of everything. We go to jail, they take our houses, they take our cars, they take our children. In the time of slavery, they took our women, they take everything. We are spoiled. They even took our identity and our heritage according to the Bible. And they took the image of our God and painted him a white man. So 2 Kings 21:14 to 15. Again, and I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance, and I will deliver them into the hand of their enemies. The Lord keeps talking about our enemies. I'm going to deliver you to your enemies. Our enemy is the white man. So everybody's not supposed to be at peace. Everybody's not going to come together. The Lord don't want us all together. The Lord only wants his people. The Lord telling us we have enemies. There will never be peace on the earth if we have enemies. So that everybody at peace and come together, that's all BS. Because enemies ain't supposed to be in the Bible, right? But the Lord telling us he's going to give us to our enemies. Who were we given to? Who took us captive? The white man, the Edomites. And they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies. And that's to all nations. Because really every nation outside of Israel is our enemy. The Arabs, the East Indians, all the Asians, the white man, the Africans, the Egyptians, the Canaanites, them all our enemies. We became a spoil to all them. Because they have done which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger, since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. And the Lord delivered us to our enemies because we did evil in his eye, even unto this day. Because that statement still stands. We still doing wickedness. From the time of Egypt, even to now, many thousands of years. Now we're going to read Ezra 9, 6 through 7. And said, O my God, I am ashamed and blush to lift my face to thee, my God. For our iniquities are increased over our heads, because we're doing wickedness even unto this day. And our trespass is grown up unto the heavens. Yup, because we became more wicked than all the other nations. Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass, even unto this day. And for our iniquities have we, our kings and our priests, been delivered into the hand of the kings of the land. What's going on, bro? Oh yeah, you should come check me out when you come out. You should come check me out when you come back out. Oh, bet. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, for sure, bro. I'm gonna go holler at him when you come out still. People tell me to keep it up, but we out here to warn the people. So you probably got an idea what I'm doing, but I got so many times short. So again, in Ezra it says, since the days of our fathers have we been in the great trespass unto this day. And for our iniquities have we, our kings, and our priests been delivered into the hand of the kings of the lands. So our people, our kings, our priests, we was delivered into the hands of the kings of the lands that's around us, into the hands of the Assyrians, the Africans, the Egyptians, the white man, the Asians, the Arabs. He was delivered into the hands of all those people. So again, for our iniquities have we, our kings, our priests, been delivered into the hand of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, and to a spoil, and to confusion of face, as it is to this day. Yeah, the other people that went into captivity or went into slavery, like this one dude I was talking to, well, those other people, they didn't get spoiled like we did. They wasn't stripped of everything. And those other people, they didn't have the sword sent after them. Like what kind of stupidness? If you got slaves, you got servants, why would you kill them? You're killing your slaves. You would want to keep your servants. So these other people didn't get killed by their slave masters like we did. And they got to a point where they started breeding us like animals. They take the, they take the strong men, they go impregnate all these women. Whether the women be their family, their mom, their sister, they'll blindfold them and make them have sex with these women to impregnate them. And they did that because they was killing us off. So they had us keep producing. So we kept producing so they could keep killing us. You know they weren't gonna take care of all them Negroes. They was killing us. And that's the sword. That's why it says our kings, our priests been delivered to the hand of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, and to spoil. And a lot of these people that was taken into captivity, they willingly went into captivity. Like the Irish, like a person could choose to go into captivity under another group of people. If they had a famine in their land or they just lost the war, so they didn't have nothing, they could choose to go into captivity of somebody else. So that they could maintain themselves and come back up and not completely die off. We was taken by force. Look at all the slave pictures of us with yokes of iron on our neck, coming off the slave ships. We ain't want to be there. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 27. So Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 27. Therefore thou deliverest them into the hand of their enemies, who vex them. Let's look up this definition of this word vex, according to the Bible. To bind, be narrow, be in distress. Hey, bro, I'm gonna give you my YouTube channel on my card. Check me out. I ain't trying to hold you. I'm about to go do the same thing. All right, we back had to chop it up with the brother. See, this gospel done spread it. He already knew what was up. I just had to let him know how close he was because Russia about to wipe this place out. I don't want to be here. I want to see it. And really, these Edomites evil. They really got to go. If you really just, how are we supposed to be looking up this word vex? To bind, to tie up, to shut up, be in straits, be cramped. So when we was in those slave ships, we was vexed. When they bind us up in these handcuffs, we vexed. We in distress. We vexed right now being in America. We in distress. A lot of us stressed out. We don't even know it. To show hostility toward. They the vexer and we the vex. They show hostilities toward us. Being racist, discrimination, oppression, hatred. All right. Therefore, thou delivers them into the hand of their enemies, who vex them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto thee, thou heardest them from heaven. So when we come back to the remembrance of who we are and praise the name of Yahweh Yahweh Shai and start keeping the law, that's us crying into heaven. When we complain against this place, America, and talk down on it, that's our cries going into the heavens because the Lord hears it. And according to thy manifold mercies, thou givest them saviors. One of our first saviors came in the form of Moses, who saved them out of the hand of their enemies. And Moses saved, over 1 million people single-handedly by the hand of Yahweh Shai. So in the time of coming, America, the Lord is going to raise up many Moseses. Moses was an airbender. He could control water. He did all kind of stuff. Well, that's where you get your X-Men and your superheroes. So Moses was a real-life superhero. He was the first airbender. So the Lord is going to raise up many people like Moses here in America because the Lord has way more many millions and millions and millions of people to save. So he's going to need many Moseses to save his people from their enemies until he does the deliverance. And the white man knows this. That's why he shoot down all our men. Because it's going to be those men who get turned into the air benders, fire benders, electricity benders, earth benders. Brothers can grow food from the ground. Brothers with healing powers, super speed, super strength. We just speculated from what we see on TV, but the white man knows this. That's going to be, and that's what the 144,000 is in the book of Revelation. That don't mean there's going to be 144,000 people that get saved. That's not that many people. The Lord saved more people than that when he brought them out of ancient Egypt. But this time it's going to be millions and millions of people. And the 144,000 is going to be 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes. 12,000 Mexicans. Going to be bad as hell. 12,000 Negroes. 12,000 Argentinians. 12,000 Brazilians. 12,000 Cubans. That's going to be turned into Superman. And Superman, that's an understatement. They're going to be turned into angels. Superman not going to even be able to touch these men here. Nehemiah, I was supposed to be, I think, 9 and 27. Yeah, but that was it. When the Lord heard our cries from heaven, according to our mercies, the Lord gave us saviors who saved them by the hand of their enemies. And when you read the book of Judges, the book of Judges was pretty much our cycle of captivities. How we will rise up as a people, we keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We will fall off and do wickedly. The Lord send us into captivity. The Lord will raise up a savior from a specific nation. He'll save his people out of captivity. We keep the law, statutes, and commandments. If we go back into captivity for breaking them, the Lord will raise up another savior like Samson, Joshua. And that's what we still suffering to this day. So next we're going to go to Psalms 106, chapter 40. Psalms 106, chapter 40. Therefore was the wrath wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people. The wrath of the Lord was kindled against us. That's why he sent the white man after us. That's why we went into captivity. That's why we're in the condition that we're in now. Therefore was the wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people, and so much that he arbored his own inheritance. Let's look up this word arbor. To be abominable, to loathe, to make abominable. So we was an abomination to the Lord. So he greatly despised us. Therefore was the wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people, and so much that he arbored his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Who was the heathen? Every nation of people that took us into captivity. So he said he gave us into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. So our captivity is not like the other captivities that the other people on earth went through. We was taken captive and ruled over by the people that hated us. That's why they tortured us and killed us and spoiled us. That's why we had so much suffering. So like the stupid ass Irish that went into captivity, they was taken into captivity by other white people. The white people that took the Irish captive didn't hate the Irish. They just helped them out. We didn't get helped out. We got bred like animals and killed off. How they was killing us, they should have ran out of slaves. But how they didn't run out? They was breeding us like animals. That's where you get the term mother effer. That's why we shouldn't say that term. That should actually be an offensive term to us. Because they would take the men of our slaves and make them have sex with their mother. That's what a mother effer is, literally. So now we're going to jump to Isaiah chapter 5 and 13. This ain't hard to figure out. I don't know why people come up against us. They want to say, well, everybody went into captivity. F everybody else. We're the Lord's chosen people. First they want to ask, well, what about white people? F them. When they write their laws and legislation, don't nobody raise their hand and say, well, what about the Negroes? When they fix up the white communities, don't nobody say, well, what about the Negro communities? So F them. And if salvation is for you, who cares about anybody else? Don't miss your bus. If you got a bus ticket, don't miss your bus trying to help somebody else who ain't got a bus ticket. Isaiah 5 and 13. Is that what I was trying to do? 5 and 13, hold on. Therefore, my people are going into captivity because they have no knowledge. And no knowledge of what? No knowledge of how to keep the law and to serve the Lord with joyfulness and gladness of heart. Now that we're in captivity, we literally have no knowledge of anything. Who we are, of the Bible, of the God, the Lord of the Bible. So again, therefore my people are going into captivity because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Our honorable men, who should be the prophets, was famished. The prophets was always despised, put on exile, getting locked up, in captivity, getting killed, and the multitude dried up with thirst. We dried up as a people. And when you thirst, you're lacking. So we lacked knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom is sometimes compared to as water. So we lack knowledge and wisdom. We was dried up mentally and spiritually. Okay. We're going to be Isaiah 42, verse 22. And this shows that And this is something I thought about. Most of the people that I talk to be brothers. Because I said in the video, Women Getting Judgment, that I uploaded recently, I said that most of the two-thirds that the Lord is going to kill off is going to be women. Oh, I remember this brother, I think. No, never mind, that ain't him. I said most of these women that's going to get killed off. No, I said most of the two-thirds is going to be women. Because I don't talk to very many women, but the ones I talk to, only half of them be halfway interested. But that's just for the people that I talk to. I mainly talk to brothers because our women more washed up than we is. A brother can at least recognize and say, keep pushing. They usually know something about this. Our women don't be knowing nothing. A lot of our brothers don't either, but it's mainly brothers that acknowledge me out here. But it's like the Lord gonna kill mostly women. The Lord is gonna save mostly women too. And to make sense of that, is women outnumber men 7-1. So it's still gonna be more women that get salvation as a whole. But as a whole, there's gonna be a lot more women that get destroyed for the lack of this knowledge. Isaiah 42 and 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. We are robbed and spoiled. It's not hard to see that here on the earth. They are all of them snared in holes. We are snared by the system. And they are hid in prison houses. Who's hid in prison houses? It's us. That ain't hard to see. Blacks and Mexicans. You make up we the one of the smallest pop. They say we the smallest pop. I don't know what they say. They say the minority is the majority in the prison cells, prisons and jails. But this is the people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hidden in prison houses. They are full of prey, and no one delivereth. Meaning nobody is saving us out of this situation. Nobody can save us out of this situation. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, can't nobody deliver us out of this. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, can't nobody deliver us out of this. They are a prey and none delivereth, for a spoil and none safe restored. And ain't nobody saying restore what you took from them. Restore their land. Restore by reparations. Restore freedom. We still don't need a two-thirds human. Since we're two-thirds human, the Constitution really don't apply to us. Because the Constitution is say we the people. That's speaking of the white man. Because according to them, we only two-thirds people. So that don't apply to us. Now if you're going to get Jeremiah chapter 13 and 19. Then, then shalt thou say unto them, thus says the Lord, behold, I will fill all the inhabitants of this land, even the kings that sit upon David's throne, and the priests and the prophets and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Oops, I'm sorry. Jeremiah 13 and 19. The cities of the south shall be shut up, that's Judah, and none of them shall be open. Judah shall be carried away captive, all of it. Judah is the southern kingdom. It's the black tribes, the Levites, Levi, Benjamin, and Judah. The Negroes, Hispanics, and Jamaicans. That's Judah. Judah should be carried away captive, all of it. It shall be wholly carried away captive, meaning completely carried away captive. So now we're going to go to Lamentations chapter 1, verse 3. And we could see that we in captivity. Captivity is a big part of the Bible. And I got a handful of scriptures, but this not even all the scriptures. And what did the disciples say to Yahawadah? Will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? And why is that? Because they was in captivity under the Romans. So even in the New Testament, matter of fact, all through the New Testament, we was in captivity. And really most of the Old Testament too. Lamentations 1 and 3. Judah is going into captivity. the black tribes, the Haitians, Negroes, and Jamaicans. Judah is going into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. So we went into captivity to suffer and to be of great service to the Edomites. She dwelleth among the heathen. We living among the heathen. We living among the white man in America. We living among the Africans in Africa. Once he got ran up out of Jerusalem. We living in China among the Chinese. We live among the heathen. We don't have our own place. We don't have our own place. She findeth no rest. We can't find a place of comfort to settle. We get ran up out of everywhere. We get a home in the gated community, and the rich white Edomites running us up out of there, calling the police on us, harassing us. We get a good job or something, we think we got something. We find us no rest. Because this is, we was put up in America for great affliction and great servitude. We weren't put here to have a resting place. We weren't put here to kick our feet up. Because we can see that we got to work 10 times harder than everybody else around us just to be considered even. Lamentations 1 and 5. Oh, let me continue. 1 and 3. All her persecutors overtook her. And that's what happened. All our persecutors, they overtook us. We are completely beneath them. And they took us between the straits. Let's look up this word for straits. That means distress, pain, something tight, something tight. The slave ships, they took us in straits. The handcuffs, they took us in straits. We in distress and pain. That's straight. Kind of like the same word as vexed. Lamentations 1 and 5. Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper. And our adversaries are set up over us. They are first. They are ahead of us. Her enemies prosper, but we're not prospering. And how to tell if you're the enemy of Israel, the enemy of the Messiah, if you are God's enemy here on earth, is if you're prospering. And that's prospering with the Edomites, the white man. Who's prospering with the white man? The Asians, all white people, the Arabs, the Indians, they prosper. So that's how you know that you're an enemy of us, is if you're prospering. And that goes into Obadiah, I think, 1 to 15. Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper. For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. The Lord causing us to suffer for all our iniquities. Her children are going into captivity before the enemy. Meaning the children of Israel, that's who she is. We going into captivity before our enemies. And people say, well, the New Testament is the only one that's valid. Well, we're going to go to Acts chapter 7, 7 and 1. Oh, that's not it. Maybe chapter 7, 6 or 7. And why the way we started off is going to be the way we end this live today. What did we say in Genesis chapter 15 and 13? That we should be a stranger in the land for 100 years, and that nation who we serve shall afflict us 400 years. But afterward, the Lord will judge that nation, and we'll come out with great substance. But let's read Acts chapter 7, verse 6. And Yahawadah spake on this wise, meaning the Lord was giving us game. He was giving us wisdom right here. That his seed, whose seed? The seed of Yahweh, the Israelites, should sojourn in a strange land. That his seed should sojourn in a strange land, in a land that's not ours. And that they should bring them into bondage. They, our enemies, brought us into bondage in this strange land, America, because we didn't know this land. And then treat them with evil for 100 years. So the Bible is telling us that those who took us captive in this land would literally treat us evilly. for 400 years. The Irish, other people who went in captivity, they didn't get dealt with treacherously. They didn't get dealt with in the evil way. But we did. And the nation whom they shall be in bondage will I judge. So if we were in bondage under the Edomites, under the white man, the Lord is going to judge them. In the nation who they shall serve, I will judge, said Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And after that they shall come forth and serve me in this place, in the Holy Land. So the end of law, the Lord is going to destroy the land of Israel. He's going to destroy those fake J's, all of Israel and Jerusalem, so he can place us there. And how he's going to place us there, he's going to destroy this whole land, America, to judge Edom, to judge the white man. He's going to destroy it with thermonuclear destruction by the hand of Russia. That's why you got all that tension at Ukraine. Russia is going to completely wipe out America and destroy all the Edomites in this land. The Lord is going to beam us up in the chariots and set us in the land of Israel. And we're going to be up in the chariots watching the destruction of America and Israel. So the Lord is going to destroy both these lands and the people in it, but he's going to save us out of it. And that's what we're going to close out with. We're going to face the east. We're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. And I'll be out teaching tomorrow, Lord willing. Till next time, Shalom.